Hi everybody, June here from Red Daisy Crafts. I know this is not my usual time, so thank you for finding me. So we're going to give it a minute, let people find us. Hopefully some will be able to jump on at this different time today. And we're going to play with the Cozy Christmas Paper Pumpkin. We're going to do some alternate projects. I am hoping to get through 3 today. And so that's this paper pumpkin. Oh, if I could get it in the right spot. There we go. And we made these cards last week. Whoops. Get in the right direction. I see some people jumping on, so we're just going to keep going. And so those are the cards that the kit was designed to make, but today we're going to play with some alternates. And before we go down to the table, I just want to remind everybody about this amazing join offer from Stampin Up. If you've ever thought about joining, or if you've ever thought how nice it would be to have the discount, now is the time. You can get $125 in product for only $35. There is no pressure from me to turn this into a business. I was a hobbyist demo for years, so please just know, like, you can do you, and just think about whether or not it's the right time for you to take advantage of such a great offer. You can also get $189 in product for $99. So if you wanted to get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you would want to do that option. And it is a tremendous discount on the cut and emboss machine. So I have at least one person that has taken advantage of that. So I'm excited to grow my team, and also look forward to anybody else that has an interest. I also wanted to remind you that we are in the November Paper Pumpkin subscription period. It is wrapped in cheer. It is festive goodie boxes that are perfect for gift cards or a small treat. And the thing that is going to be creative about this kit is going to be some tags that go with the gift boxes, because the gift boxes are the same for all the projects, but there are 2 different designs, and you'll make 4 of each for a total of 8 gift boxes with gift tags. And so I'm excited to get that and play around. I know I always need a few gift boxes for my gift cards, so looking forward to that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that signed up to be in my class, the mix and match card, a Christmas card craft along. So I'm excited. Those kits went out in the mail yesterday, and I'm looking forward to that. So I actually do have one kit left. If you missed out on that, if you have any questions about that, just give me a message in Messenger or in the comments, and I'll reach out to you if you had any interest in that. So I am going to put us down to the table and get our things out here. So if you've jumped on, please say hello. Thanks for joining. And we are going to go ahead and get started. All right, so I am bringing in a couple of extra products with this for these alternates, and I'm grabbing what I'm bringing in. So I'm also using some of the DSP from the craft along that I am doing in November, and it's called the Christmas Tags and More 6x6 Mix and Match Specialty Designer Series paper. It's number 165907. I do believe it's still available online, and so I'm bringing in some of that for this card. We are going to use a few of the die cut elements from the kit. I have an envelope here we're going to cut up. I have some of the basic white cardstock that I think I need for the inside. This is the piece of DSP that we're bringing in from that mix and match 6x6 DSP. We've got some red cardstock and some pecan pie cardstock. So we are going to start out with a real red card base, okay, and I am going to, I've already cut my card base down to the 4 1/4 by 11, but I need to do a score line in here, okay, so let me just do that. All right, and then we are going to cut a layer for our card front of this beautiful DSP, and I was just trying to decide if I wanted both those red stripes in, and I kind of think I do. So I am going to cut this down a little bit differently than I normally do, so that I can have both of these red stripes on my card front. So so now I have that, and I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4. Hey Wanda, hey Elaine, thanks for joining. Glad to have you here. And so we are going to have this layer. This layer is going to go right on here. And then we are going to cut a piece of the real red cardstock, and I wanted to grab this because this is the size I want it. So this is 3 inches by 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut this down. I believe this is already 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut this to 3 inches right here. All right, we're going to have that as a layer to go right on top of our card front. And then we're going to cut up the envelope and use some of this pattern paper on the envelope. So, you know, we're always using all of our elements from the paper pumpkins. So we definitely want to take advantage of that, right? And I like this little pattern. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I really like that pattern paper. And so I am going to trim off the flap, which we'll probably use on another project at some point. And now I want to cut this down to 2 3/4, like that. And we'll keep this for another thing. And then I want this cut down to 4. Oops, wrong blade. All right, so we're going to layer this right on top of here. And then we're going to add our tree. Well, we're going to add our die cut pieces, but that's going to make like a little bit of a tree right here. Okay. And that is going to be the card front. And then we're going to add in some sentiment. And I think I'm going to use just this little strip here for our sentiment. And I wonder if our Merry Christmas will fit on here. It will not. Okay, so we're going to use Deck the Halls on here. And so let's see. Looks like it'll go this direction. So let me cut this down. I'm going to do 1 1/8 just so I have enough room. And we're going to use that for a sentiment. Okay. And then I'm going to put this away. I might want it. On the inside of our card, I have this little strip here. We're going to use that to decorate the inside of our card. And we're going to need a piece of the basic white at 4 by 5 1/4 to go on the inside of our card. And 5 1/4 inch right here. So that will be the inside of our card, like so. All right. And it looks like we did not need the pecan pie, so I'm going to just set that aside while we put our card together. So like I said, we are going to do the inside of our card. It's going to get this little decorative strip of DSP. We're going to just add it to the bottom of the layer piece that we're going to add to the inside of our card. And I'm just leaving a little like 1/8 inch space of basic white at the bottom. And this is going to go right inside of here. And I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue. It's my favorite adhesive, to be honest, because you have a little bit of wiggle room once you get it down if you need to adjust. And it does give you a little bit of time to be able to make that adjustment. And then I like to just press it out so that we have the glue nice and flat on the inside. All right, so that is our inside. All right, now you could certainly add the Merry Christmas on the inside of here if you wanted. I like to hold off and see what I want on the inside of my card when I send it. All right, but we're going to start out with this beautiful plaid DSP from that Mix and Match 6x6 DSP. And we're going to add this layer right to the front of our card, like so. And again, just pressing out the glue, so that's nice. All right, so now let's do our layers here, and then we'll stamp on that. Okay, so again, this is a piece from the envelope that came in the paper pumpkin kit. Okay, and we're just going to layer that right on top of here. Okay, like so. Like that. All right, then we're going to add this with the same way we did it last week. So let me grab some of my dimensionals. I'm still using up some from the past, and I'm going to just put some dimensionals right down at the bottom of these. And what I mean by the bottom is that the top part, this part right here, I am going to actually glue down. Now this one is the very tippy top, so I am going to go ahead and put a dimensional up there so that it does stand up. We are also going to get a mini dimensional to put onto our star. Okay, and I'm going to add that right there. Now we did not get, I don't know what we got. We got regular dimensionals. I don't think we got mini dimensionals, but you could always cut them. These can always be cut. Okay, so how we're going to put this on is it's going to go on like that, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue right here, and that's going to get pressed down so that it gives a little bit of dimension. So we're going to go ahead and just add our little bit of glue right here. Okay, and I'm going to take my dimensional covers off of here, and we're just going to make sure we have this straight on here, and then we're going to press this down. Okay, and so it'll give a little bit of a different kind of dimension going on here. Okay, and then this one's going to layer right on top of that to make the top of our tree. Okay, and so we are just going to add that right on here like so. Okay, now we're going to add our star right up here at the top, and that will complete our tree. And I'm just making sure that my dimensional isn't on top of anything additional. So right now with one layer of dimensionals, that is pretty much all that the post office will allow, without adding or needing to add extra postage. If we decided to put this down with dimension, which we could do, then you would need to add additional postage at the post office. So the other thing I wanted to bring in is, and this is some retired ribbon, but I have some garden green ribbon from last year. I thought it would be good to just go ahead and add a little bit of flair with our cards. So I don't think I'm going to do a bow on here, but I do think I am going to just have this tacked down underneath of this piece. So let me grab my scissors here, and I think that's going to be fine. And I'm going to get some glue dots out. And I'm going to just grab a glue dot on the end of this one, and then I'm going to just put that right in the center. And then we're going to wrap this around, okay, like so. And then we're going to tack this down. So I don't want that much of an overhang, so I'm going to just trim a little bit off. I got a little too long. I don't want it poking out the other side of the top layer. All right, so we are going to just add another glue dot right here. And we are going to just tighten this up like so. And we're going to just layer that right on. So this is just another little piece or texture that we're adding to the card. It doesn't add a ton of bulk to the card, but it does add a nice little extra layer to it without, again, adding additional postage. So we're just going to lay this right down on top of here. And I'm so glad I decided to center those red stripes for the front. And we're just going to have just like that. And this is our card front. So now we need to do some stamping on here. So did I put my foam mat? All right. So when we use photopolymer stamps, I like to use my foam mat because they don't have the additional rubber cushion on them. And the foam mat gives it a little bit of cushion for when we're stamping. So I'm using the pecan pie ink spot that came in the kit. All right, so I got my thing inked up here, and I do like that this is pretty perfect for the stamp, the space we have. And got it a little bit on the top side, but that's kind of what I wanted. So that's going to go onto here now. And we are just going to be adding that right off the side here. So it's just going to go on like that. Now we could have put it on this side or this side. I've decided I want it on this side like that. And I am going to add it with some dimensionals. And again, this is still keeping it one layer. So I'm just adding a couple of dimensionals on here like that. And then we're going to tuck this right in here so that we get this lined up. Just I want it under that star right there. And so we have that just lined up like so. All right, so that is our card. Now we do have some beautiful sequin that we can add to our card. And so we're gonna just tuck in one of these red sequin up here or right down here like this. And then we'll tuck one more of the small one above it right here. And then we'll just add one more over here like that. And that will be our card front. All right, so that is our first card for today. One alternate ready to go. All right, so let me grab my next little stack of alternates that I have. And let me grab this one. So we did some die cutting here. So we're using the dies that come with the Stampin' Up, the exclusive dies. And let me show those to you. This is my first time to use them in this quarter. So Abundant Joy dies. These are the dies that are meant for this month's kit. And the next 2 months, so it'll be October, November, December kits. And so today I'm using the tag, I'm using the joy, the flower, and the little sprig here, which I'm thinking is more of like a flower center. And so those are the ones. And then I grabbed this leaf, which I think is really intended to go with the December kit, but I thought it would work great for what we were doing today. So I like to keep my things in a little plastic holder envelope just to keep things tidy. And so let's see what we have here. So I used some of the Real Red card stock to cut the flowers. All right, and I used it to cut the joy. All right, and then I used this textured gold foil paper to cut the little sprig out or the flower center. Now I did cut down a piece of the card base that came in this month's kit, so it was like this. I cut down this layer we're going to use on the white card base. So I have this left over, and I used it to cut some of the leaves out in the garden green design or pattern. So I'm going to set that aside because we'll use those again for something else. Now, I am going to actually, because we already cut an envelope and I want to use the flap, I'm going to use the flap from the one that we cut already and not cut into a new one. But what I want to do is actually put this flap onto the front of this garden green layer, which is one of the card bases. We also need to score this. So I'm going to get my trimmer. And we're going to get those things done. So we're going to go ahead and score this card base at 5.5 inches. So move my cutting blade out of the way. Okay, and so this is my card base. All right. And then I want to trim this off. So my card layer is 5.25 inches. Okay, so this is looking at like it's right at 5.5. So I'm going to cut off 1/4 of an inch on each side like that. I'm going to flip it over and cut another 1/4 of an inch so that I have an even object when I lay it down, so it doesn't cause things to look a little bit cockeyed. And I'm also going to trim off the edge here, right at the triangle. So Here, let's see if I can get it straight. Think that's right there. Now, whenever you're going to cut into something, especially this envelope paper, because it's much lighter weight than other cardstock, I like to put my blade down in the middle and then go up and then go down, just so that I don't try to cram it into a corner and then end up like crunching up the paper. So I'm just pressing my cutter blade into this, and I'm going to go down and then I'm going to go up. And so now I have a nice clean cut at that corner. Okay. And then I still have this strip, which I could use to put a little something on the inside of the card. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. Okay. But this piece, what we're going to do with it is we're going to be adding it right onto this card right here. So it's just a little layer. And I mean, I could lick this and stick it down, but I'm going to use my glue on here. Okay. And we're going to put that down on there. It's just a little bit of added design. And I think that is all of the cutting that we need to do here. All right, and we are going to do a little bit of stamping, but not a lot. And I need to get, here it is. I was going to say, I have like a little scratch paper. So I want that because I want to be able to go off the edge of my paper, and I don't want to stamp on my foam mat. We also need to test our stamps because we haven't used these asterisks before yet. And so I like to try them out first. Okay, so I'm getting the little asterisks, the trio of asterisk stamps. And so we're going to just put them on a block. All right, and then I'm just going to do what I do each time is I just kind of rub on them. And I don't know if you can tell, but the two that I've rubbed on are kind of cloudy looking. Okay, so that's what happens to the stamp. And what I'm doing is I am just getting off any residue from the mold that created the stamps from the factory. Okay, and so now I'm going to just test them out, and we're going to use that pecan pie again, and those look great. You ordered a refill, Wanda. Good for you. I know your friends are going to love these. Absolutely. All right, so on a couple of these, I want to add just a little bit of stamping. And I'm not exactly sure I know where I want it. So I want it to go a little bit off the edge, just so that we are not interfering with anything that we might want. And I'm going to do them the same well, actually I'm going to do them opposite of each other. So I'm going to do this one over here like that. And then we're going to do a stamp on the bottom right, like so. And there. All right, so now they are a little bit opposite each other. Okay, and I'm not going to stamp on this one at all because this one I'm going to use to put the joy on it. And if I could figure out a way to get the asterisk right in the center of the O, I would do it, but I'm not going to try and mess it up. All right, so that is the bit of stamping that we have. I'm gonna get a quick drink. Wanda, how's the weather in Canada? We are finally gonna get some cooler weather. I saw in the weather this week that we are going to potentially get wake up in the maybe 50s. So Elaine, if you're still there, you were right that the weather was coming, and I appreciated that so much. So we're gonna, oh, I need to trim this. I didn't trim it all the way. I knew I had trimmed it to 4 inches, but now I need it to be cut to 5 1/4 on the long side. And I'm going to keep this to go with that because maybe we'll add that on the inside. As a matter of fact, let me just trim this down for that. And let's just go ahead and trim this off at 1/2 inch. And then we can just layer this right with it to go on the inside. I'm even going to keep that because that might be handy later for another inside design. All right, so this is going to go on the front. So whenever you do your card base and you fold it, sometimes you have like a little, it doesn't always score perfectly. You can't see that in the camera, but this side I can tell definitely that this layer is shorter than this layer. So I always want to make sure that I can hide that if I can. So I'm going to use this side for the front. All right, so we are going to be putting this down, and I'm going to put these little designs in the same direction as the tree. I've decided I like that direction the best. And so we are going to put this down with some multi-purpose liquid glue. Okay. And get that centered on here on our card base. All right. Awesome. It was freezing. Put in a small piece of paper just big enough for one. Then slide it under the joy once it, yeah, I think you got it. They're going to kind of go haphazardly. You'll see. And you had some freezing this morning. I know that you're going to get much colder than you prefer. And I'm sorry for that. But I am thankful that we're going to start to get some cooler weather. All right, so this is going to go right here like so. There we go. And I love this because this has a little asterisk on it. It kind of coordinates with our little tags here. And so one little tag is going to go like this. And then we're going to have another one kind of going this way. And then this one's going to pop in here like so. And we can kind of spread these out a little bit. But that's kind of the design we're going for, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and put our joy together. So these dies are fun because this, I'm going to take this apart. So because I had put it together already, but I want to show you because I'm loving these dies. So this little tiny little flower center has the teeniest tiny little stem on it. All right. And when you cut the flower out, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's like a hole in the center that pops out. Perfect to slide that little twig into. And then I noticed on these that they also had a similar center to the flower that's in the little circle on the J and then the Y. And so I poked out the center on the Y and kind of put it together with my flower. Okay. And then I stuck our little twig right through there. Okay. And so I'm kind of tucking those in together so that this is how the joy is. All right. So I'm going to see if I can show that to you up close, but now you can see how that is. All right. And so we're going to put that onto here. Get this on here pretty good. All right. And then I have one of the little green sprigs that is going to just be tucked in somehow. And I may not do that until I have them all put together onto here and then tuck in the little leaves where they go. But they're going to get tucked in. And some we might want to cut down because they're a bit big. But this is going to go on here. And I am going to use a little dimensional on the back of this flower. And that's going to hold all those little pieces together. And I think a big dimensional will work just perfectly there. Okay, so I've got that. Now those are all tacked together. Okay, it's all tacked in. All right, and then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of here. And I'm going to use my mini dimensionals. I have some cut here, but they are still too thick. So let me just trim these down a little more, and we can still use them. So I'm going to have one up here at the top of the J, and I'm going to put one down at the bottom like that. And if I can trim this one, oh, like that. I have one on the one side of the O. There we go. And one on the other. I just want to make sure that's not poking through because it does look like it is showing. There we go. And then I'll just get one more little sliver cut off of here, and we will put it on the Y. Like here. All right, so I'm going to take these off of here. And we're going on this one. And it's going to go from edge to edge, a little diagonal. There we go, like that. All right, so just a tiny bit of that dimensional is hanging off there, but that's all right. So there's our little joy that's going to go in the center, and I'm going to get these off of here. Now, we are going to pop this one up on here. But again, if I'm careful, I can keep it so that the card only has like one layer of dimensionals. So I want to make sure that I only put things where I haven't already put a dimensional. So I could put one here, and I think there's nothing right here. So I could put one there, and then I can add a mini dimensional, I think up here, and that will be a good support. So like that. All right, so now these guys, so one's going to go on down here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue him on. And he's going to go kind of here, like that. And then we're going to have the other one going at the top. And doesn't have to be exactly in the same spot. As a matter of fact, I think it's better when they aren't. And then this is going to go in the center here, like that. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and put these on Oh, thanks, Wanda. I'm glad you like it. You had a hot summer. I don't feel, I mean, we haven't had like terrible heat this year, but we've had it for a long time. We haven't really had any type of fall yet, in my opinion. All right, so that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, so now we are going to, so I want to add this little guy in here, but I think I'm going to trim this one down so that I just take off, let's see, I'm going to take off one for now and see how that goes. So I could just add that right in there. So I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on the end of here. Come on. There we go. And then I'm going to just tuck that right in. Right, like that. Okay, so there's that little guy. All right, so now I'm going to add a dimensional to the back of this. I'm going to use the mini. I don't necessarily need to have a larger one. And I'm going to put this little flower right here. And we're going to add this little guy. And I'm going to keep the full deal. And I just put him on right there. So I have that so far. Then we're going to add one more flower down here at the bottom. And this guy's going to go right here like that. And then we're going to add this one right there. And super fun. And there again, you could always come back in and put the Merry Christmas onto the inside. You could always come in and put it on the inside. Let's go ahead and add our little stripes on here. Okay, so let's put this one down on top of the pecan pie design. Right down the center. Okay. That's what I love about the multi-purpose liquid glue is you can still move it around a little bit if you need to. And we're going to add this right to the bottom of our our inside. Right down here. Oh, I want my green design going in this direction. Oops. So I forgot this is 4, so it's not going to go edge to edge. That's good. All right, so that's how the inside will look, and then that's your outside. Now, I could always come in and put a little bow on here if I wanted, but I think I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm not even going to add any sequin because with the foil on here, I think it is just so cute all by itself. So I'm not going to add anything more to that right now. So there is our second alternate for today. And I got one more for you guys. Okay, so let me grab that right here. All right, so this is kind of a fun little idea that I have done before, and I got an envelope just in case we need it, because I think we are going to need it. But we're going to go ahead and make a little bit of a fun fold with this. So I'm getting my trimmer, and we are going to cut off 1 inch of our card front. Okay, we're just going to take off 1 inch right here. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this, and we're going to score, let's see, what did I decide? Because I want it to come here. Let me just figure out where I have to have it scored. About right here. So I'm scoring it at about, well, we'll just make it easy. This is 3 1/4 inch. Okay, that's where the score line is. And then I'm going to fold this over, and we are going to adhere this down right in here like that. Okay, that's going to get adhered right to that card base, flush with the back. All right. So then this is going to flip open, and it's going to work like that. So it's going to be a little bit of a fun fold for here. All right. So now I do need some paper for the inside. And I had thought about using this for it, but I really don't think it's big enough. And so I'm going to trim this, but let's see, because I might be able to use what I have already here. So we have, oh yeah, I can do this. This is going to work out. No, it's not going to work out. We're going to need to trim one. All right, so I'm going to trim this down. And so that we can get a bigger piece here for the inside. All right, so let's go ahead and trim off our flap like that. All right, did I get all of it off? Looks like I did. All right, so I need a piece that is 4 inches wide, and then 5 1/4. Yeah. All right, so we're just going to move those little extra pieces out of the way, and that is that. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out here if we have 1, 2. All right, so looks like that's the center. So I want my little flap to go right there on the edge. So I'm getting the glue on the short side of this, and this is going to go right at the edge of the card in the center. So right there. Just hold that down good. Let it get good and adhered. Yeah, I like that too. Isn't it nice how the flap worked out like that? It's really cute. It works out. It's a fun little ad. All right, so we're going to add this on the inside of here. I love it because this is still light enough to write a message, so you don't really need to add any additional white in there for writing a note. So this is how it's going to end up looking. So you are going to end up with a little bit of a white border on the edge here, which I'm totally fine with. And we are going to just add this right on the inside, and that's going to cover up our piece of paper on the inside. Okay, so we're gonna put this down right here, like so. There. That just covers up that edge where that flap is. And okay, so that's that piece, right? And so we're going to use our ornament to be the little front on here. That's going to be our little flap, okay? And that's going to go there. Then I do want I do want a sentiment for the front. So let me get my little stash of goodies out. So I have all of my little pieces left here. And I am thinking that we can still use the Merry Christmas on here towards the bottom. So let's just see if that works out. I think it actually goes this way. So we have this on here like that. And so I think there's plenty of room for us to put the Merry Christmas on there. So I think that's going to work out just fine. So let me get my foam mat out so we can do our little stamping here. Love this Merry Christmas stamp. You know, I feel a little bit torn sometimes because the envelopes are always so pretty, but I mean, it's an envelope, right? People are going to throw it away anyhow. So I'm also okay with cutting them and just using a plain white one as well. So I get a little torn about cutting them or not, but all right, so there's our Merry Christmas, and we got that stamped into our bubble. But I love how bold this Merry Christmas stamp is. Okay, so we got that. We got that. Let me put this back away before I lose it. And let's put our card together. We're doing pretty good time-wise. All right, so this is going to go here. We're going to add our little Merry Christmas right down here at the bottom. It's going to be perfect. All right, and then we're going to add our ornament. Now, I am going to go ahead and put this all together. Now, this is some tiny little edge, right? But I need it to go on here, and what I can do is I could put on dimensionals, and then I don't have to worry about putting glue onto those little skinny pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dimensional here, a dimensional here, put one on this side, and that side. And we'll put a couple in the center like that. Okay, let me just make sure none are showing. Yep, perfect. All right, so let's take our little dimensional covers off. And then we're going to put our glasses on. Because when we have to do things in a fine, we got to find the lines so close here. I just want to make sure I can see really good. All right, so we are going to just make sure things are all lined up nicely. So there we go. All right, so that's how that looks, and you can see the dimension there. That's going to be so nice. Such a fun little flap for here, right? So that's going to be like that. Now, I am going to trim off the little stem here. I'm going to pretend that wasn't there. And we are going to tie a little bit of trim around that and put a bow on it. So I have this beautiful twine that is currently, I think it's still available. It comes in two of these spools. One is white with gold and the other one is black with gold. I don't have the black with gold handy to show you, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and tie a bow. I want to be careful though, because it's super fragile and I don't want to tear this. As a matter of fact, I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tie it around it because that is very likely to tear. And so I'm just going to tie a bow here and we'll add this to it with a glue dot. This cord is not very, it doesn't want to tie very tight. So it moves a lot because it's a little satiny, is how it is. So I am hoping that because we add it with a glue dot that it will, you know, firm it up in a sense. So let's just go ahead and put that on a glue dot right there. And we're going to just fold that glue dot down over the back. All right, and I'm going to add it right there. And make sure, there we go. All right, so then I'm going to cut some of the tails off. Like that. All right, so now this is going to get added right on top of here. We're going to use just a mini dimensional. And I'm just going to set it right in that corner right there. And then this is going to go right on top of it, like so. So that's what we end up with, like that. And so if you can see the back, what we have is we have the dimensional right there holding on to the little topper for the ornament. Okay. And then we still have our little holly sprig there, which I think is really cute. And what I'm going to do on here is I'm going to bring in some of the Winkostella. And I think it's still juicy, but I'm going to go ahead and just color in our berries on here just to add, and I'm going to do just a little bit on the holly leaf here, just to give it a little bit of shine. And it might be really hard to see, but let me see if I, oh yeah, you can see a little bit there. Okay. So we're just going to add that. All right. Now this is going to go right on top of here, but we're going to add it with a couple of dimensionals, I think. So if I lay this on here where we need it, because I just have, so I don't have one there. So if I put one there and then one out here and then do a small one right here, scoot it out there. I think we're going to be right pretty perfect. We were not going to double up on our dimensionals. That's the goal. Okay. So now this needs to go right in the center of here, like that. perfect. Yep, I got it. All right, so that's our little front and our flap to open up. All right, and now we're going to add the Merry Christmas right down here with a couple of dimensionals. So I'm going to just put those on here. Oh, I got two. There we go. I think that's good. I think I got a little wink of Stella on my finger. It feels kind of sticky. All right, so now this is going to go right down here in the center at the bottom, like that. And it doesn't hit at all. It's perfect. Look at that. I love it. You need glasses as well. Yeah, I need them a lot more every day, it seems. There we go. I'm just going to burnish that so that it lays down nicely. All right, so that is our third alternate for today. And then you'd be able to write a note in there. Very, very cute. I love it. All right, so those are our alternate cards for today. I hope you liked these. And yes. Very fun. Very fun. All right, so I'm so glad some of you were able to join me at my different time today. I have something else going on later today, and I just needed to make a shift. But I will be back next week at the usual time and with some more alternate ideas. So thanks so much. And, don't forget that fabulous join option is out there. And I hope that if you've been thinking about that at any level, and I would love to have you on my team, please reach out to me and let me know. I'd love to talk with you about that. So, all right. I hope everybody has a great rest of their Sunday, and I will see you next week. Happy Halloween to you, because that will have happened by then. And I hope all of your trick-or-treaters have fun, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.